Welcome all of you. Let us begin with our session today. I would not like to talk much about this. Rather, I would like to give it to our speakers today. Welcome back to a webinar by CMA for a long time, which we were waiting. And thanks to the Finance Subcommittee of Calcutta Management Association that we are organizing this webinar on union budget, and it's a discussion on what exactly it is like. So we welcome you once again, and let us start the session. Before I start up and request our moderator for the day, Mr. Vibhor Tandon, to please take us through the session, I would just take a few minutes to introduce all of the speakers one by one, starting with Mr. Vibhor Tandon, who is a senior management professional with over 2 decades of experience in business development, financial markets, leadership, strategic growth. He is the current director at MMPL and independent director at INSD, and has earlier served in the leadership roles with MCX, including as the regional head of Eastern India. An alumnus of ISWBM, he brings deep insight into the enterprise building, mindset, and market-driven growth. Mr. Tandon is also the Vice President of Calcutta Management Association and actively contributes to CMA's initiatives aimed at strengthening the management and MSME ecosystem. We welcome you, Mr. Tandon. I'll just read out other 3 speakers and introduce them also. Mr. Anil Garg, he is an MBA in Finance and Systems from Rutgers University, USA, with 35 years of experience in ITC Limited. He retired in a senior management position as head of finance and IT of ITC Limited's personal care products business, and in February 2021, after having held several senior positions in ITC in a career spanning over 35 years. He is an independent director of an investment company, NBFC, classified as RBI regulations. Mr. Garg was until recently the CEO of the Education Trust for approximately 4 years since 2022. The trust runs 2 schools of Kolkata, and the total student strength is around 2,500. His last assignment in ITC, he was selected as the Apex team member charged with the setting up of new business, namely the personal care business for ITC from scratch. He has hands-on experience in setting up this startup as part of the senior leadership team. The business began from the scratch and 8 employees only, and grew off to a full-fledged multi-product, multi-locational, rupees 1,000 crore business. Direct involvement in various M&A transactions were also there. He is a speaker, moderator on various fora, including the Calcutta University, Globson Business School, Calcutta Management Association, Lions Club, etc. We welcome you amongst us, Mr. Garg. We would like to also introduce Mr. Aditya Sen. Let me just tell you that all these members are also part of the Finance Subcommittee of Calcutta Management Association. Mr. Sen has an exposure in finance, accounts, and internal control. He has worked with diverse university sectors, and lastly associated with the state-level PSU in energy generation and distribution sector. And finally, may I just introduce our speaker, Mr. Debasish Mukherjee. Mr. Mukherjee is GM FNA at M Junction Services Limited, where he heads the finance and accounts function. He is a qualified chartered accountant and cost accountant and a graduate in commerce from the University of Calcutta. With over 33 years of experience, he has led major digital transformation initiatives while building strong expertise in financial management and corporate governance. He is instrumental in strengthening financial operations, streamlining processes, and enabling sustainable growth across diverse business portfolios. He is also an avid quizzer and has won many quizzes at national level. He is a passionate sports coach and has trained successful corporate sports teams. We welcome you all amongst us, sir. We welcome all the participants. And without much ado, may I request our moderator for the day, Mr. Vibhor Tandon, Vice President of Calcutta Management Association, to kindly welcome the gathering and begin the session. Sir, it's all yours now.
Very warm welcome to all our esteemed guests, members of the CMA, of course, Honorable President, members of the Executive Committee of CMA, and of course, the members of the Finance Committee who were instrumental in organizing this particular initiative. See, as a matter of fact, budget is probably the most talked about thing of the town, at least till the month of February. Now, there are a lot of things which are talked about in budget, and primarily why on the minds of common man? Basis two reasons. First, aspirations and expectations on various fronts from the government. Second, whether it really pushes economic growth or not. Thirdly, are there any special concessions on the taxation front or any special schemes on the business front which result directly or indirectly in the increase in the income of different stakeholders? Now, we are actually living in very, very interesting times. As a matter of fact, it is important to understand that we today are we are actually living in a world where the balance of power is slowly but steadily shifting towards our subcontinent. More so, the balance of power seems being shifted towards India. If we look at the overall economic growth scenario of the world, it has been reasonably doing well despite the various challenges, right? Close to around, I would say, 4.5% of the, if we look at, I'm so sorry, around 3.5%. If we look at the overall growth of the economy of GDP, the GDP growth year on year. At the same time, if we look at the growth in India, all of us, the must talked about budget number once again, is that the GDP has been close to around 7.5% for India, probably the best in every corner of the world. Now, looking at this, the budget, which has been designed with three specific pillars, which I would say, right? The first one focuses on improving upon the economic growth perspective in different stakeholder segments, pushing economic growth to ensure that it is sustained and economic growth is accelerated. The second is that we focus on inclusive growth, right? Which has been the focus right from the beginning, which is we talked about Sabka Saath and Sabka Vikas. Of course, the third one being, if we actually need to cash in on the upcoming opportunity, which has been there, the focus has to be on building of capacity for different stakeholders. More so, focus being on capex, which is close to around 12.5 lakh crores, and the focus on developing upon the entrepreneurship or the MSME segment, which again is extremely important with respect to the overall growth of the economy. At the same time, it is important to understand that the overall focus of the government, the budget, and the different stakeholders has now shifted towards investors being there in the long term in the market. There was a lot of talk in the town about the extra securities transaction tax which has been implemented. Largely, what would happen as a result is, though to individual investors, individual traders, not really impacting much, but still a push which can actually move them away from short-term trading to long-term investments. Now, considering the three pillars which have been focused upon in the budget, we have experts in various fields with us today, right? And we have three very, very eminent speakers who will elaborate and talk about this budget as such, the different areas in which there has been a lot of thrust to ensure, of course, one of them being manufacturing, because that involves a lot of capex, that involves a lot of economic activity, results in developing or results in empowering a lot of people with employment. The second being to focus, again, on my side, if I would say, is the MSMEs, which is the small industries, which again are today fueling around 45 to 50% of the economy in terms of the products which are being supplied to different sectors, the contribution to the GDP, and the employment in the overall population of India, which it contributes significantly. So with this, I think I would really love to listen to the views of our wonderful, educated, extremely experienced speakers who will talk about this. But first, we would like to move on to our own respected Shri Anil Garg, who is the past Vice President of the CMA, currently the Chairman of the Finance Subcommittee, and as well as a very, very senior, educated, a very, I would say, experienced finance professional who would be sharing his views on the subject. So Anil sir, welcome on board, and we would look forward to hear from you on the budget in respect to the various offerings that have been there, and maybe some thrust which might have gone missing. Yes, Anil sir, welcome on.
Thank you, Vibhor, for the nice introduction, and I'm glad to be here. It's a although a budget is an annual exercise, it is not to be seen in isolation on a year-to-year basis. This is part of a larger continuum, which is how it should be, because no planning, no capex, no investments, no country can go forward just planning from year to year. So a year is like a report card. It's a time for taking stock as to what our journey was about, and how far we've reached, and what we need to change, what we need to do better in order to continue on the path, provided, of course, the path itself is not changing. So in terms of the path, the Prime Minister has laid out a path of Viksit Bharat by 2047. So why 2047? Because it will be 100 years of independence. And when he says Viksit Bharat, he's saying that India wants to be a developed country by that time. And the various initiatives that have been in the works for a number of years. And this year is a good time to take stock and see as to what we need to do next, because 2047 is only 20 years ago, 20 years away, right? So it's not so far away. So Anirban will run the slides. So I'll just request him to go to the second slide, which is where he is now. Right. So a very quick look at what's happening in the world and where we are. The global economy has been projected to grow at 3.3% this year and 3.2% next year. And our GDP growth is expected to be 7.4% this year and expected to be 6.5% the following year. So it's one of the things which is clear is that we seem to be doing something right as compared to the rest of the world. So therefore, we need to do the same more often, and also do something else which will take us to the next level. So the next slide, please. This is a very short and a quick look at what the GDP growth projections of the other countries are and where we stand. US, the GDP is going to grow at 2.1%. The euro area is going to grow at 1.4%. Japan is going to be at 1.1%. The UK is at 1.4%. Russia is going to be 0.6%, and China will be 5%. However, India is going to be 7.4%, which brings us to a world average of 3.3%. The same trend is going to continue in 2027 as well as 2028. These are projections, mind you, of the IMF. IMF is keeping a track of which economy is doing what in terms of performance. I'm sure all of us know that India is now the fourth largest economy in terms of size, after US, China, and Germany. We've recently taken over Japan, who was earlier the fourth largest. So we are now the fourth largest economy in the whole world. The next slide, please. So like Mr. Tandon touched upon, the budget is resting on three foundation cornerstones, shall we say. Number one, to accelerate and sustain economic growth. Number two, to fulfill the aspirations of people and build their capacity, which means skill development. And number three is that to remain aligned with the objective of inclusive growth, which the slogan given by the PM is Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. Basically, what this third means is inclusive growth, that we don't want anybody to be left behind when India prospers. Next slide, please. So, jumping right in terms of some specific proposals of how India is going to be a developed country in a short period, is that there are 6 key interventions which the finance minister has proposed. Number one, scaling up manufacturing in 7 strategic areas. The strategic areas have been selected in such a manner that they are forward-looking and they are at the cutting edge of global discourse. So the first one is Biopharma Shakti, they call it. Shakti is actually an acronym for Strategy for Healthcare Advancement Through Knowledge, Technology and Innovation. The aspiration is that India should emerge as a global pharma hub, and a cutting-edge R&D, cutting-edge technology should be available in India for India to manufacture for the world. All the medicines and all the biopharma products, those are in high demand and which also require a high level of technical inputs, if you will. The second aspect related to that is that how will that happen? One is, of course, just making a statement. The second is the finance minister has articulated that we will set up some institutes, new institutes, which will help us to teach our people the relevant technology, the relevant knowledge, and we will upgrade the existing institutes. There are 7 existing institutes called NIPMA, which are essentially focused on pharma and biotechnology. Those will be upgraded and 3 more will be set up. And there's a figure in terms of financial outlay of 10,000 rupees, which the 10,000 crore rupees, which has been earmarked over a period of 5 years to make it happen. The other aspect of a biopharma industry is that you need a lot of centers for clinical trials, because any new drug that you come up with, it has to undergo a very rigorous testing, and that can only be done in a very formal manner under controlled conditions. So India is planning to set up 1,000 such clinical trial sites. The second initiative on the manufacturing side is related to semiconductor manufacturing. Semiconductor Mission 1.0 was launched 2 years ago, and that helped to expand our capabilities of semiconductor manufacture. Semiconductor is again a very, very cutting edge uh, area in which India wants to be a big player. So the Semiconductor Mission 2.0, as they call it, this will be used for producing equipment and materials, design full stack IP, and fortify supply chains. It will focus on industry-led research and development centers and training centers for developing a knowledgeable workforce. So this is again at the cutting edge of technology. Right now, semiconductors basically are controlled by very few countries. One of them is Taiwan, the other is the US. So we want to be a major player in this. Next slide, please. Nirmala, next slide.
So it is on, sir. Next slide, third, electronics components.
Oh, okay. Next slide is there. Okay. So the third area of interest to IT as well as to India is that we want to be large players even in the industrial side, even in the electronics component manufacturing side, which basically involves well, they planned an outlay of 40,000 crores, but they don't have any details as of now. So the details will be announced later. This is again related to manufacturing. So this electronic scheme actually was launched in April 2025 and has received a huge response. That is why they want to now expand the scope of this scheme. Rare earth minerals are another very important area. And right now, China, you would have read about China being almost a monopoly player in terms of manufacture of rare earth magnets. And those magnets are made from rare earth minerals, which China is a big player. So India wants to emerge also because India has some very focused areas like Odisha, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu, where these rare earths are available. So the objective is to make rare earth corridors in these 4-5 states and create mining, processing, R&D, and manufacturing facilities in these areas. The next item is related to setting up of 3 dedicated chemical parks. High-end chemicals are imported by India and there's a very high level of dependency. So with the objective of being able to do it within our country, the objective is to set up 3 dedicated facilities. Then we come to, again, staying with the high technology manufacturing. One of the things we have found is that we as a country have found is that we need to import all high technology tools. So the finance minister has announced setting up of high technology tool rooms to locally design and test high precision manufacturing components at scale and at obviously a lower cost. This will be done in 2 locations. The local design, testing, and high precision tools will be used to, again, further manufacture, make in India, and also export. Staying with high-tech construction, so there's high-end construction and infrastructure requirement of equipment. For example, tunneling machines, for example, lifts and elevators, firefighting equipment. All these are imported items as of now. The idea is to be capable of making all these in India, therefore have some element of self-reliance in this, and also job creation, and also these are very high value-adding items. There's opportunity to enter the export markets. We would also like to do construction of shipping containers. And for that, there's an outlay of 10,000 crores, which has been earmarked for setting up a facility over a 5-year period. So this is again a part of the overall strategy to make high-end products and not only commodities. So the idea is to enter the higher end of the value chain. Next slide, please. Textiles, as all of us would know, is a huge industry in India, and it's also a huge employment generator. So the idea here is that we need to invest much more in textiles in order to first expand and renovate, modernize existing areas, existing textile clusters with capital support, and launch a national fiber scheme which will take care of self-reliance in natural fibers, man-made fibers, as well as advanced fibers. In order to ensure that our traditional fibers are not, handicrafts, etc., are not left behind, there is a separate mission for village khadi, handloom, and handicrafts, which will be launched. We have a lot of legacy industrial parks, old industrial estates, which are not functioning effectively in a cost-effective manner, in a productive manner. So there's 200 of these parks have been identified, and they will be invested in terms of upgradation of technology, R&D facilities, and setting up world-class quality control centers. Next slide, please. SMEs are very important employment generators and engines of growth for the Indian economy. And we intend to continue this focus. We are setting up a 10,000 crore SME growth fund to create future champions. There's separately a self-reliant India fund with a 2,000 crore corpus, which will continue to support micro enterprises and maintain their access to risk capital. There's also, we are also going to approach professional institutions like the Chartered Accountants Institute of India, the Company Secretaries, the Management Accountant Institute of India, and ask them to design specific short courses to enhance the skills of the SMEs, MSMEs, in order, especially in the Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. Next slide, please. Large-scale investments are being made in infrastructure over the last 10 years, and this will be continued. Infrastructure will focus on FLP towns as well, which have emerged as growth centers. We will also encourage private enterprise and investments as a part of the public-private schemes. Okay. One of the other things is that the government will set up an infrastructure risk guarantee fund to strengthen the confidence of the private sector to take up infrastructure projects, and unlocking of real estate, facilitating recycling of real estate assets of CPSEs through REIT. At the same time, we would also look at supply chain efficiencies, and we would focus on developing sustainable movement of cargo to reduce supply costs and enhance efficiency. For that, we will set up a dedicated road corridor, initially in between Dhankuni and Surat, east and west. 20 new waterways will be set up in the next 5 years, starting with one in Odisha, which will connect the mineral-rich areas and industrial centers to the ports of Paradip and Dharma. The 20 new waterways will aim to increase the share of freight from 6% to 12% by 2047. And coastal cargo promotion schemes will also be launched in order to make it happen. Seaplanes is a good area for improving access, especially to inaccessible parts of the coastline, and seaplane manufacture will be encouraged. Next slide, please. Carbon capture and storage will be another area which is an emerging area, and it's an area which is expected to help power, steel refineries and oil industries, which have an end use in sustainable carbon. So this is again a very a cutting edge area from a climate control perspective and a sustainability perspective. Our cities, especially the Tier 2 and the FLP and higher towns, are a huge source of innovation and enterprise. So the Finance Minister has allocated 5,000 crores per city economic region for implementation of their plans with reform come results based on financing. So essentially, this amount will be used for infrastructure creation, for modernization of identified cities. For each in the city economic region will have access to 5,000 crore facility in order to ensure upgradation of their basic infrastructure. Simultaneously, there's a proposal to develop 7 high-speed rail corridors between cities as growth connectors to promote cost-effective and speedy transportation. These sectors are Mumbai, Pune, Pune, Hyderabad, Hyderabad, Bengaluru, Hyderabad, Chennai, Chennai, Bengaluru, Delhi, Varanasi, and Varanasi, Siliguri. This is what they've identified so far. And some more may emerge a little later, except as of now, these are the 7 they've identified. Next slide, please. Our banking systems have emerged as very strong, with strong balance sheets and good lending practices, except there's further work to be done, and a high-powered commission is going to be appointed, which will oversee the requirements as envisaged in 2047 as Viksit Bharat. And what is it that the banking sector needs to do as of now in order to make the necessary changes and the necessary jump? As a start, restructuring of the Power Finance Corporation and the Regional Electricity Corporation has been announced. So some work will happen in these two as of now. Simplification of FEMA regulations to attract foreign investments and make them safe and user-friendly. So the ease of doing business has been a theme with this government, and they are taking significant steps not only for the Indian citizens in India. They are also making it easy for foreign investment, foreign capital to come in, and for that the FEMA regulations are also getting amended. In order to ensure urban renewal, there is a proposal that municipal bonds, which are used very actively abroad, if larger cities want to introduce municipal bonds of above 1,000 crore, there's an incentive of 100 crore, which has been envisaged. Incidentally, there's already an existing scheme for cities which want to launch bonds of up to 200 crores. So that scheme will continue. That's applicable probably for a tier 3 sort of towns. But the encouragement here is that even larger bond issues should be done in order to ensure that funds are generated for modernization and upgradation. And in order to continue on this ease of doing business theme, emerging technologies, including AI, will be supported and capacity will be built to help the common man. Next slide, please. So far we've been speaking of the first cornerstone. Okay, so all these are related to manufacturing, upgradation of technology, renewal, investment in infrastructure. So now we come to the second cornerstone, which is upskilling. How to provide skills to our people in order to manage all the opportunities and to drive these opportunities that we are thinking of. So for that, a high-powered standing committee, Education to Employment Enterprises, to focus on services sector as a co-driver of Viksit Bharat. So what is envisaged is that creation of huge number of professionals are required for Viksit Bharat. promotion of India as a hub for medical tourism, for instance, is articulated, in which 5 regional medical hubs will be set up. Upgradation of existing and addition of new institutions of allied health professionals will be achieved. Aim to add 1 lakh allied health professionals over the next 5 years. All this is in order to make medical tourism a big thing. 3 new All India Institutes of Ayurveda will be established. Similarly, animal husbandry is also being selected as a focus area. The aim is for 20,000 more professionals and institutions and many institutions for animal husbandry will be set up. Establishment of veterinary colleges, hospitals, diagnostic labs, and breeding facilities. Next slide, please. Investment in infrastructure for the orange economy. So when we say orange economy, we talk of the IT economy, the social services economy, audiovisuals, gaming, comics, content creation, etc. There's an acronym for that called AVCG, okay? Audiovisual, gaming, and comics and content. So one of the initiatives envisages Indian Institute of Creative Technologies, Mumbai, will help in setting up AVGC facilities in 15,000 secondary schools and 500 colleges during the budget period. And in addition, the proposal is to set up 5 new university towns near industrial centers and 1 girls' hostel in every district. This is again a huge input in terms of providing the facilities for skilling people, education as well as skilling. Tourism is selected as another very important employment generator. We've always seen that tourism supports not only the people directly involved in tourism, but it has a multiplier impact of more than 20. So it's been selected as an employment generator and as a viable tourist. Is to attract tourism, both Indian and abroad. So for that, they'll upgrade the National Council for Hotel Management and Catering Technology to a National Institute of Hospitality. There's a pilot for upskilling 10,000 tourist guides in 20 tourist sites, and 15 archaeological sites will be developed at vibrant experiential tourist centers. The finance minister has also spoken about Khelo India mission to transform sports in the next 10 years. Next slide, please. Now we come to the third cornerstone, which is inclusivity. Inclusivity in this journey. So there's a focus on 7 areas which have been identified. And the first one is farmers. Farmers' incomes will have to be doubled in the next 5 years. And for that, there's integrated development of 500 water reservoirs, support to high-value agriculture such as coconut, sandalwood, coca, and cashew. And there is a facilitation of free flow of education, of information. So Bharat Vistar, a virtually integrated system to access agricultural resources, IT-enabled integration of agricultural stacks, including agricultural practices, and leverage of ICAR as a knowledge centers. This is planned. There is also a launch of Divyanjan Kaushal Yojana. It is for the specially abled. Essentially, what they're saying is that if you are specially abled, then also you are a part of this journey. Promotion of task-oriented and process-driven roles in IT, AVCG, hospitality, and F&B sectors will be looked at in a structured manner. Next slide, please. To remain aligned with the objective of inclusive growth, basically, there will be a lot of investment in terms of quality of mental health. So there's a proposal to set up a NIMHANS in North India. As you know, NIMHANS is a all India popular and highly effective, highly renowned institution based in Bangalore. And the idea is to set up another one in the north and upgradation of existing facilities in Ranchi and Tezpur as regional apex institutions. Mental health is becoming a very, very important aspect world over, and so too in India. So providing facilities for mental health related aspects is where the focus is. And there's a special focus on eastern states and the northeast region by way of creation of an East Coast integrated industrial corridor, creation of 5 tourist destinations in the region, and development of the Buddhist circuit in the northeast states. This is in addition to the National Institute of Design that is envisaged in the northeast. In addition to that, the center is supporting the states in terms of the recommendations of the 16th Finance Commission, and grants of 1.4 lakh crores will be given in 26-27 under that scheme. So I'll end here, and I'll request Debasish to take the tax slides, please. Oh, Debasish, over to you.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes,
Garg.
Bharatji, it is over to Debasish sir to talk about the taxation aspects of the budget. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, friends, quite a comprehensive presentation by Mr. Garg on the various policy initiatives which have been announced in the budget. I will just move directly to the tax proposals, and in the interest of time, I will not be trailing the slides. I will just highlight the important portions of each slide, and we will be moving on. So, in this slide, if I look at the trend in the tax collection, the trend in the tax collection now has been the share of direct taxes have been steadily going up from 4.8% of the GDP to 6.8%. And it is expected to increase further to 6.9%. So, if you see the share of indirect tax is going down, and it has gone down to 4.3%, whereas the direct tax is going up to 6.9%. So the trend is slowly and steadily, we can see that the focus of the government is more on collecting taxes through the direct tax route. Moving on to the next slide. The new Income Tax Act is going to come into effect from 1st April 2026. This is a very significant move. While the exemption rates and the slabs, everything will remain the same. However, there will be a new Income Tax Act which will be coming in, and there are quite several changes here. I think this new Income Tax Act itself, if I have to describe the changes, it will take a session on its own. So I will not continue with this. I will just say that there are significant changes which we expect to happen, but mostly on a procedural front. The second very important thing is on the ICDS. So there are 10 ICDS standards from 1 to 10. And the ICDS was incorporated, I believe, sometime in 2013 or 14, when the IGAP, most of the companies followed the IGAP. However, now the companies have all transitioned into Ind AS from financial year 16-17 onwards. And there was a bit of a ambiguity in sense of however things were accounted under the Ind AS and the ICDS. So now ICDSs are completely going to be eliminated, and they will be incorporated into the Ind AS itself. On the MAT credit, MAT is proposed to be made a final tax, with the MAT rate being reduced from 15% to 14%. And in case you're on the old regime, you will be able to use the MAT credit till 31st March 26. The setup from the next financial year will only be available if we have transitioned to the new tax regime. So that is a development which has come in this budget. Nirmala, if we can. Then there is another change with respect to the due date of filing the return of income for assessees. And whereas the assessees who are having the ITR 1 and the ITR 2, they will continue to file their returns by 31st of July. However, if you are a non-audit business case, you will get time till 31st of August to file your returns. Then the time limit for filing the revised returns, this has been extended from the tax year 25-26. You will be allowed to file your revised returns till the March of the next year. So for 25-26 till March 27, you will have time to file your revised return. And also, there is another change in respect of the updated returns, wherein the updated returns can be filed even after issuance of the reassessment notice, subject to the payment of a 10% additional tax. So this is something which is very new. A significant thing which has been covered, was the tax holiday for the data center. So all the data centers procured by a foreign company up to 31st March 2047 has now been provided a tax holiday. So this is a very significant development, and to provide tax certainty to the foreign entities who want to invest in the data centers in India, this exemption has been provided to them. So moving on to the next slide. So capital gains treatment. So the capital gains initially was considered to be a deemed dividend, and it was taxed as a dividend in the hands of those. So now it has been shifted from being a dividend to a capital gains, and it will be based on the regular rates which we have. So if you're taking the lesser rate, then you will be on the 22%, and otherwise it will be 30% for all other promoters. Again, to curb the speculation in the share market, the STT rates have been increased on both forward and options. And the next measure also, which is quite linked to the other one earlier, which was the STT rate change, which is the disallowance of the interest expenditure. So earlier, 20% of your dividend expenditure. Suppose you had taken a loan, you were allowed an expenditure up to 20%. So that has now been moved up. Again, this is to curb the speculative activity which happens in the various stock markets. Moving on. So there's a lot of tedious simplifications, small changes which have happened. One major change, that is the 194C for the contractor payments. So this was a litigative issue which was happening, and now it has been clearly settled that the TDS will apply at 1% in case of a non-corporate SSE and 2% in case the SSE is a corporate SSE. Then in case of purchase of immovable property from a non-resident, I mean, resident buyers can now deposit the TDS using a PAN-based challan. There is no need for going in for a TAN, which was the case earlier. So now the purchase of property from residents and non-residents have now been brought at par. And then next is in the lower tax deduction certificate. So now earlier the lower tax deduction certificate used to be approved by the assessing officer. Now there is no need. There is a rule-based automated electronic process wherein once you file the certificate, subject to certain conditions, it will be accepted and you will get your lower deduction certificate at the time of application itself. This is something for the retired persons. In case retired persons had a lot of issues in which they had to send their 15G and 15H to all the companies separately. Now there is no need of such requirement. Suppose it is sent to one depository who covers all the companies under that depository will get covered. So maybe you now have to send to one or two depositories instead of, suppose you are holding stocks of 30 shares, you have to send to 30 companies. Now we can make do by sending to probably the two depositories which are present. If we can move on. There are rationalization of TBS provisions and significantly for the overseas two package programs where the remittances were up to 10 lakhs, there was a 5% tax rate, and greater than 10 lakhs, so there was a 20% tax rate. Now the tax rate has been brought down to 2% without any limit. Similarly, on education and medical treatment, again, there was a 5% exceeding 10 lakhs. There was a 5% TCS rate that has been brought down to 2%. And in case of alcoholic liquor, scrap and minerals, from 1% to 2%. So there's an increase here from 1% to 2% in case of TCS on alcoholic liquor, scrap and minerals. If anyone, you can move on. Transfer pricing. So now transfer pricing, all the technology companies have been brought under the umbrella of IT services. So if you're an IT company, you're an ITAS company, you have been brought under one umbrella, that of an IT services. And there is a common safe harbor margin of 15.5%. And the threshold for revealing such a safe harbor has also been significantly enhanced from 300 crore to 2,000 crores. And data center services are also eligible now for safe harbor. There is a margin of 15% applicable for that. Moving on. In case of GST, there are a few changes. So the first is, so earlier the intermediary services were discriminated, and even in case of export of intermediary services, GST was charged. So this was a long-standing demand of the industry from 2017 onwards, that the export of intermediary services should be exempted from GST. Finally, after a long wait of about 8.5 years, the government has relented on this And from now onwards, in case intermediary services are exported, that will be exempted from GST. The second major demand from the industry was based on the post-sales discount, deducting the post-sales discount from the taxable value. So this also has been discussed in the GST Council, and it was passed in the GST Council, and now even in the budget it has been incorporated. And further, there is no need for establishing the linkage of invoices with your discount and terms of agreement. So that is a very good thing which has come in. Also, in case of refunds, including inverted duty structure refunds, there's a provisional sanction of 90% of the refund amount. And earlier, there was a threshold limit of ₹1,000. So in case your refund amount was less than ₹1,000, you could not apply for refund. So now that has also been allowed. Moving on to the customs. So basic customs duty on many commodities were exempted up to 31st March 26. That exemption has now been increased by 2 years till 31st March 28. And there is a reduction and alignment of basic customs duty, primarily a reduction of the basic customs duty for rare earth, drugs and medicines for the treatment of cancer, for electronics and EV. So in all these cases, all these commodities, there is a reduction on alignment of the basic customs duty. The advance rulings which were there, which were earlier valid for 3 years, now that period of validity of the advance rulings have been extended to 5 years. This again was a demand of the industry that has been kept by the finance minister. And in case of baggage regulations, they have been rationalized. There has been a reduction in the customs duty on personal effects from 20% to 10%. And last but not the least, on the courier exports. So if you were exporting goods through courier, there was a limit of ₹10 lakh, which was permissible. Now that is proposed to be removed. Of course, we will be waiting for the details. I think that is all from my side. Back to you, Vibhor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mukherjee. Debasish has actually, almost incorporated every point that you could cover in the taxation area, and that makes it pretty easy for everybody to understand, whether it is with respect to the taxation on the investments, whether it is for the exporters, whether it is for different areas of businesses as well. And of course, a very elaborate presentation given by Shri Anil Garg on the various doors which have been opened in the budget for different industries, its implication on different industries, the kind of impetus which has been given on to development of infrastructure for industry in terms of the industrial parks, the capacity building, etc. I would now request, of course, we have another learned speaker with us. I would request Mr. Aditya Sen to share his views, maybe some views or some points that he would like to mention. Any comments or any views on the budget as well before we come to the end of this talk. Thank you so much, Debasish sir and Anil sir. Yes. Yes, Mr. Sen, you are welcome to share your views, please. Yes, Aditya sir.
Thank you, Mr. Tandon. And thank you, Mr. Garg and Debasish, for a beautiful elaboration of the budget proposals. What I relate to, so very funny, but what I was relating, that India as a country, globally famous for cooking recipes and royal food plates. And for preparation of this food plates, require a lot of ingredients, their processing, their synchronization to arrive at a very sensual delicacy. If you go through the presentation, it reflects the same thing, that how we are focusing on a new India by touching upon people, capital expenditure side, manufacturing side, logistics side. Then taxation is very important because it's almost as per data, January 2026 constitutes 20% of GDP income from taxation. It's combining central taxes and state tax. So this is very important. And if we go by personal choices, taxation and personal finances always are very sensitive one. So the entire budget analysis within an hour with a 20 slides is very not only difficult, but is a very difficult job done in a very efficient manner. I really thank Mr. Garg and Mr. Mukherjee, Debasish Mukherjee, a big hand for presenting this beautiful one. Thank you so much. Hand over to Mr. Tandon, please.
Thank you
No,
so much,
Mr. Sen.
Mr. Sen.
So,
For,
Mr. Sen, I just wanted to add that, you have been an active participant in this in terms of preparing the slides and ensuring that it all seems okay. So thank you very much for that.
My pleasure, and I'm honored, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sen. Thanks, Anil Garg, sir, for the wonderful inputs. Thank you, Mr. Debasish Mukherjee, also for the wonderful interpretation of the changes in the tax regime as well to make it simpler for everybody who participates. The most important question which comes to everybody's mind is Kotura tax dita. And there is again a very, very important aspect which Debasish has covered very well. And coming back to the question which we have received one question from Pulumi ma'am, and I would love to address the question. She has asked about where does Bengal stand in this entire scheme of things. Well, Bengal has a very, very important role to play in respect of the growth of the India, growth of Bharat, the growth of entire subcontinent as such. And therefore, if you look at from various perspectives, not only is it from the population of 10 crores, which Bengal addresses, but also with respect to the 40 crores which it addresses, this particular city and this particular state addresses, being the gateway to the entire Northeast, the gateway to two neighboring or three neighboring countries, and the kind of impact that it has on a large proportion of the population in terms of any business activities. To add to it, of course, there is, if you look at the data from the MSME perspective, close to around 15% of the MSMEs are from this region, from Bengal, and therefore it does play a very, very important role. Yes, upskilling on an ongoing basis is needed in a very important way to understand. Upskilling, of course, is a very, very elaborate chapter, but upskilling on different areas, be it technology, be it finance, be it entrepreneurship, and of course on the agricultural side as well, I think is needed on a large scale, pan-state, pan-India basis to ensure that we are in line with the growth. We not only stand by our commitment of Sabka Saath and Sabka Vikas, being inclusive, but also at the same time, we are actually giving the true kind of impetus, the true kind of acceleration and sustenance to the economic growth which is needed. Now, as a youth-driven country, don't we think Khelo India needs more funds? Yes. Everybody, at the same time, whenever it's a question of receiving funds, all of us will feel we need more. However, for the government, it is to balance the various perspectives, in respect of the need and the demand and the supply of funds in different areas of allocation. We appreciate your view that, of course, Khelo India or impetus on or improved significance on sports being driven will definitely drive the overall population, the overall economy towards a much more brighter spot. Thank you so much, everybody. I would now request, and thank you so much, our lovely audience, to have given us a patient hearing. And I'm sure all of us have gained from this short 1 hour session on the discussion on budget. I would now love to, would now like to invite our Honorable President, Indranil sir. I'll request you, sir, to please come over and give your vote of thanks to the entire audience and to the audience speakers. Thank you so much. Indranil sir, I'll request you to please come over
Thank you, Vibhor. Thank you. Actually, the whole idea was started on 26th of Jan. Okay. I was thinking how to capitalize this particular issue, and then I communicated with our erudite subcommittee members, and they then and there gladly accepted and worked very hard for last 7-8 days. And we initially we had a plan key whether to do it on first itself, or then we decided. Garg rightly said it. Let us wait for some time because there are too much of TV communique. So let us wait, and did it today. Thank you everyone for your present hearing and hard work by the erudite panel that we have today. One thing, so far CMA is concerned, we are focused to the future economy, just like Prime Minister said the other day. We have Sunrise, a subcommittee which is dealing into the sunrise economy. So I would request all of the participants to come out with their suggestions how we can integrate and encash the provisions, because there are many things which is on the skill part, skill upgradation part, skill enhancement part, just like the financial institutions like ICICI and CMA firm, they have given some role in the long term, whether we can play some role in this kind of building of new economy, new India, and remain relevant to the eyes of the audience as well as all stakeholders. Thank you, everyone, and please do communicate with us. Anyone is there to get your views and put it before the board. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anilji,
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
So thank you, Debasish. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Let
all.
us call this a day, and we will definitely put it up after editing on the YouTube also. And we'll send the feedback forms to the ones who have attended. So have a nice day, and thanks a lot for joining.